Alright, so I'm sorry, this is just going to be another update video. I haven't really had time to edit too much or like get anything like actually sort of done. I have been busy. But there are some videos coming soon. I've been working on a bit of stuff. I'm currently on Christmas break from college. I've been in college, you know, for like a year and a half now. I've been doing some stuff. I've had a couple weeks already, and I've gotten a bit done. And I've got some more cool stuff coming soon. That should be good. That should actually be videoable. So I should be making some videos soon. But I have to make this video sort of now because this summer, after Spacex, I got a job on Mythbusters. Like I was one of the contestants on the new Mythbusters show, the search for the next Mythbusters. So I'm one of the people. I'm in the trailer. I don't know if you saw it on the Science Channel. The show is looking for the next Mythbusters, and they start out with 10 contestants. Somebody gets eliminated every week or whatever, and then the people at the end are the next Mythbusters, and then they start the show as the next Mythbusters, and then it'll be like the same as normal Mythbusters. So I did that, and that's starting on January 7th. That's coming out. So you should definitely go check that out if you want to watch real TV with me in it, which is cool. We got to work on a bunch of cool stuff. They have some teasers coming out and stuff. I can't talk about any of it. After that, I went back to college, and I've been in college ever since. And now I'm back on Christmas break, which is sweet. But college is college. You don't feel like you're getting anything done. I've been able to survive though. I feel like I'm getting enough done because I run every night and I train in a rock gym like 3 days a week, so I can do like one-arm pull-ups now. So the first thing that I built is a time-lapse camera. I've always been really into time-lapses. On my old RC plane channel, I'd always be flying, FPV planes, like when I was like 10, and I'd have like a camera set up, and I just look at the clouds, and the clouds go by. And so I made a time-lapse box. It's basically just an aluminum box that I've painted green. It's made out of 1/4-inch aluminum with a big polycarbonate window on the front, with a solar panel on top, some feed-throughs. I made it so it's like fully waterproof, so I could put it underwater. An intervalometer up here, and a power supply right there. And I don't know, if I leave it up for like 3 years, I'll get like a bunch of seasons changing, but I also want to get like geological events too. I want to get rocks falling and like the actual landscape of the mountain sort of changing. Maybe like trees growing, maybe some like big slide, just sort of stuff like that, like paths changing. I don't know. I really want to leave it up for like a solid 3 to 5 years or thereabouts, which I should be able to do. I tested it for 3 months, and the battery only lost like 20% of its power with no solar panel connected at all. So when I hook up the solar panel, it'll be, lasting forever. And I can put 2 of those batteries in there. So pretty much anybody can do it. You can even just buy the pre-made box already done, but it's like $700. So I just made one. Like the glacier documentary, where they took time lapses with like 3 years of those glaciers melting. I pretty much want to do that, but on a mountain. So I want to put one like on Denali or on Everest or like Aconcagua or I don't know, maybe Nanga Parbat, big mountain, or like Mont Blanc, like the Glacier des Boissons. You just have a camera looking at that, and then the glacier flowing down over like 10 years or whatever. It's really cool. I really want to get that because the mountains are alive. Like those big mountains, they're alive, and they're changing a lot, and you just can't see the change. I hate college. But anyway, so I'm doing that. Second thing I'm doing is this is another like dumb sporty thing, but it gets better. So just bear with this. I'm making an ice climbing wall. So I've been doing a lot of ice climbing. I'm sort of really getting into it. It's really fun. I've been rock climbing for a bit, and that's really fun. And I like rock climbing, whole finger strength stuff, forearms of steel. But ice climbing is really, really fun too. I made a campus board for my dorm at school. I would use my Nomex on it, my ice axes on it, but it's not the same thing as actually climbing ice. Like it's really important to get the swing right and get your foot placement right and stuff. So I'm gonna make a giant ice floe in my backyard. It's basically an ice skating rink on its side with concrete on the front, and then just water flowing over it, and it's just chilled, and the water freezes and makes a giant ice floe that you can climb up. So I have like a big 1-inch pump that'll circulate just a calcium salt. I'm just gonna probably use some of that and make a brine water, which will be cheaper than antifreeze, which is ethylene glycol. So I might do that. Just gonna have that circulating through all the tubes or every 2 inches, and then to cool it off, I'm just gonna have probably a bunch of air conditioners, because I can get free air conditioners at the dump. I have like 3 air conditioners, like 3 window air conditioners, and like a few hacked ones already. So rather than like buying a full house central air compressor, which you can get those. I found one on eBay for like $200. They're not too bad, but the thing with those is you need to get the evaporator, and that's like another $400. Pretty much like all the PEX tubing and the ethylene glycol is just going to go into a big tub, and then I'm just going to have like all these window air conditioner evaporators stuck in there. So another thing, I got a Chronos 1.4 camera from Tesla 500. If these were around like 5 years ago, I would have definitely had one. These are awesome. You don't know how much I wanted to buy like a Phantom V1610 or a Phantom Flex or one of those. I couldn't even rent one for a day. I don't have that much money, but it's necessary. So I got that, and I'm going to probably film a bunch of stupid stuff like blowing things up and, oh, look at this bullet going through this apple and weird stuff like that. But I'm going to use it in a project. I have this project in mind. High-speed X-rays. So basically, here's the idea. I'm going to have the Chronos 1.4 camera with an image intensifier in front of it. Image intensifiers are really cool. They're those old military night vision scopes. Basically, you have a photon of light that hits this image intensifier, and there's a photocathode in the front, which turns that photon into a bunch of electrons, and then those electrons keep going back, and they get accelerated in these two, this electric field. They just accelerate the electron and have a bunch more electrons around it. So you get, all these extra electrons there. And then that hits another scintillator material that turns those electrons back into photons of light, and then you get a lot more photons hitting you in the eye. So you have like one photon in the front and then like 70,000 coming in the back, which is crazy. So you can get like 70,000 times image intensification. So like you can just literally look in a dark room and just see everything because there's light there, you just can't see it. So I have an image intensifier coming. So that is going to go in front of the Chronos 1.4 so I can use it with like really low light things, such as an X-ray cassette, the X-ray cassette scintillator material. So basically what I'm going to have is I'm getting a bigger X-ray tube. It's coming in the mail. It's like one of those big chest X-ray ones that they move around and actually like image your arm with. It's 150,000 volt acceleration potential in the tube, one of the spinning cathode ones, the giant like actual X-ray tubes. I need a much bigger X-ray source because the one I have, it's not going to work with the thing. It's just not enough power. The X-ray source over here, that shoots a bunch of X-rays that go streaming this way, goes through whatever you have, and then that hits your X-ray scintillator material right here. Basically that just turns X-rays into visible light. You can just take a picture of that, but if you take a high-speed video of that, you're not going to see anything because it's really dark. I think that was shot at 128,000 ISO. On my DSLR, at the 30 frames a second, like at the lowest I possibly could, the most light I could possibly get in, and it, you can barely see it, and it's not very good quality. And the more X-rays you have, the more stuff you can see through, so you want more X-rays, and the more light you have on the camera, you don't have to do as long of an exposure on the thing, and you can go for a faster frame rate. So I was going to have to image intensify the high-speed camera. There's no two ways about that. So when they do like high-speed X-rays in the military, which I've seen like a couple experiments, not that many on it, they'll usually use a super fast decay rate scintillator material, so I might need to get one of those. I'm not sure. I can't just get normal X-ray cassettes. I might need some sort of special cassette. I really don't want to have to dope my own. But I might. Now, I need to put a bunch more shielding in my basement because I don't actually have very much right now. When I did my fuser, I hid behind like a pile of water bottles. And I could really use like a big concrete wall or something down there, or a lot of lead. I'm going to get like some of those lead jackets for sure to hide behind. And I'm probably going to have to get my house like X-ray certified though, or whatever thing I come up with. I'm probably going to have to do that because I might be doing a few of these because they could actually be really cool. They could actually be really useful. Like, there's a lot of things that just can't be made clear. Like anything with ballistics gel you can make clear, so that's not like huge. You could kind of see a bone breaking in slow motion in ballistics gel, but there's a lot of other things that I could film too. That could be pretty cool. So I'm doing that. I was gonna next thing. I'm not actually gonna build this, but I was thinking about building a anti-bullet turret thing. I don't know what I'm calling it. I had a couple brushless gimbal motors. I don't know if you've seen like DJI Phantoms. They all have the brushless gimbals and they're really fast. I was gonna set up with OpenCV, the Open Computer Vision software. Basically, you can have a webcam, and then you can track things. It's this whole computer vision thing, and it's already been done before. There's plenty of videos on the internet of people who've like put a webcam on a couple of servos, and then with OpenCV they'll have it track like a red ball or some sort of an object, and the webcam will actually like follow the ball. And they're really cool, and they're not super hard to do, and like a lot of that code is already online. So I got some of that code, and I got some of it working, and I could get like the thing to follow it around and stuff. But the like the turrets wouldn't be fast enough, and then the bullet's not going to be fast enough, and it's not really accurate at all. It kind of like moves around a lot. So I don't think that's going to work, and it's not really in a point that it's going to work. The idea with that was it was going to be like this whole like crazy thing, and I was going to have like I was going to shoot at myself with a paintball gun, and then have the turret go poof, in slow motion. There's a bullet coming, and this turret moves, points at the thing, starts tracking it, and then fires another round that intercepts that bullet in midair in like no time at all, like basically just like pfft, and then it's out of the sky. So that was the idea with that. It'd be super cool, and I still might do it, but I haven't really had the time this break to do it, and I haven't been able to get OpenCV working well enough. So if you have any tricks for that, let me know. how to get OpenCV like really accurate and really fast. I haven't been able to get it to process very fast either. And the other problem is the gimbal motors aren't going to be fast enough either, especially not when they're accelerating like a big mass, like a gun or something like that. So there's probably going to have to be some sort of other actuator there. I might end up making like some sort of magnetic tracks that'll do that. But the whole thing was like this would be like some sort of military project, so it'd be like kind of a force field, like with actual force of bullets. So you'd shoot at something, and they, like all of your bullets would just get shot out of the sky. Like obviously you'd have to have rounds in the thing, and they'd have to know, they'd have to be looking that way, and you'd have to have this really complicated sort of scanning system. You know, you'd have to have some really fast LiDAR or something like that, like some probably just like an array of LiDAR sensors. And then they'd all just be kind of looking at stuff, and then if they saw this really fast rising edge object moving towards them, they would just like automatically adjust and figure out where it is, and then you'd have to have some sort of other thing for trajectory, and then the bullet would point at it and then shoot it. It'd be really complicated. I was not going to be able to get into it just over break, but I still want to do it. That's a pretty cool idea that I think is worth looking into. Also, I kind of gave up on it because I recently read this article that the government's working on plasma force fields, which kind of just undermines my idea completely because it's just way better. Like they're just where you have a bullet coming at something and it just creates, you know, it just ionizes the air right in front of the bullet, so the bullet just kind of hits this super ionized, super hot air and just kind of explodes or melts right there before it gets within 10 feet of the tank, which that's just completely better because it uses only electricity and magnetic fields and doesn't use like other bullets or this really fast turret that would just have to be impossibly fast if you used actual bullets. Like you have a couple milliseconds if the guy's like 100 feet away. Other projects I've been working on, pan, tilt, zoom, like underwater cameras for Peter Brown. I did that a while ago, but we're making prototype 2 now. So these ones actually look pretty good. Here's a picture of one. They're not too bad. So I'm making a few of those, and they're going to go on the ocean bottom, and then there'll be this cable that goes up to this IP bridge, which shoots it back to shore, and then it goes online, and then you can have, you know, all these live streaming videos from underwater, you know, with a pan, tilt, zoom camera in it. They're pretty cool. I went to Hawaii a few years ago and installed them with him. So I'm making more of those, and those are cool, and I'm working on that. Another thing I did right before Spacex, I was making this like surf winch tow thing out of that just pit bike engine that I had laying around, and I finished that off after I got back from Mythbusters. I finished it in like a day or whatever, and I just have one clip of that. Here it is. Yeah, it's just like pretty much on a surfboard getting towed by this thing. It was pretty cool, but that's about it. Not too much to talk about there. Another thing I've been doing is getting into paragliding. I went paragliding this summer in California, and that was awesome. And I bought myself a paraglider and a thing. I built myself a paramotor in like a day out of a bunch of scrap that I had lying around. All I had to buy was the propeller, and that didn't work, but it made a really funny crash when I tried to try it at the beach in too strong of winds. My glider is actually a little bit too heavy for me, but I've flown a couple times on my own. I'm not very good. I have a lot of work to do. It's not really good where I am because there's no like big hills or anything, so the wind has to be kind of like perfect, and it hasn't been like the whole vacation since I've been going. I've gone a lot and I've kited it a lot, but I haven't actually been able to fly, and I don't really have any like hours in the air. So I tried to make this motor, this paramotor, and I did it in a day. Like I had the idea at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to get it done before like the sun went down, so I had, you know, a couple hours to do it. So I just threw it together out of just some 2x4s. Well, I didn't really get it to work. It was kind of too spooky, and the lines got caught on the back thing because it was like a PEX tube circle on 2x4s, and it just kind of got caught and just kind of dragged me over, and I just got kind of dragged up this hill. It's really funny though, but I tried to do that and that didn't really work. So anyway, I've been paragliding a lot. I don't want to get into that. Hopefully in like a year or two I'll be able to like hike up mountains and paraglide off. What else have I been doing? Another thing, I want to make a bunch of little rocket engines. So I got like a bunch of copper tubing at the store, and I got some giant chunks of steel, and I did a bunch of rocket engine calculations that I can do with this like cool software, and I cut out the steel to like the profile of the inside of a rocket engine, and I was gonna make a spin former from a metal lathe so I could spin form this copper, kind of like see how cheap I could make them. It's really more for when I get the high-speed camera. I want to do some high-speed shots of like a rocket engine flying down a string. I did that a long time ago, when I was like 10 or 11 or something like that. I had one like up on top of the garage with just like an Estes engine, and I'd like shoot it, and I calculated it was like 512 miles an hour, which is pretty cool. But I always wanted to kind of make a really strong with like a really big like solid steel rod. We have a big piece of land, and I was gonna have like this giant rocket engine on it, like, and I want to make a liquid fueled rocket engine to put on it and see if I can get to like I don't know, Mach 2 or something like that. And I want to do that for a while. And now I can actually verify it because I finally have a camera that's fast enough to see something that's going that fast. I want to make a bunch of rocket engines that are very just cheap. Like, you pressurize 2 tanks to this amount, and there's going to be, like, rather than valves, there's going to be 2 things with orifices in them. And you'll just kind of press the tanks up and then ignite the fuel. And maybe it'll work. Igniting it's going to be a pain in the ass, though, honestly. And hopefully, like, it only has to go for like a couple seconds, so, you know, it'd be cool if it would just work. And if not, I'll just make, you know, I'll just make some solid ones out of KNO3 and sugar. I've done that a lot, so I can just do that again. Rocket engines really only make sense the bigger you make them. Making a really small one makes no sense at all. The thrust-to-weight ratio is just going to be horrific on that. So you wouldn't want to actually use it in a real rocket. You need to get to like at least 3 inches if you're going to do anything like that. I'm going to make it liquid oxygen and ethanol based, I think. So that's another thing. I was going to make this cool like deep storage robot. That was going to be like an Amazon warehouse robot that I never really got very far into making. Mostly because the code was really long and I spent like a lot of time on it. I spent like 4 days where I didn't really sleep at all working on it. Like before I put the bin in, like I could slot it under like just a webcam and take a picture of what's in the bin, or like even take a picture of each individual item, or like write down what's in the bin like individually, and then it would just put it in the thing somewhere, and then I could just click on it in the database thing and it would call that bin, and then the robot would go and fetch the bin wherever it is in the database and then bring it back to me, and then I could just get my stuff out. But I just haven't had time to work on that, and I really want to because that's like a really cool one. That would be really cool to get done, but it's probably not gonna. So I built this YBCO Superconductor Tester for school. Basically, it's just a copper block that I cast in my furnace, and you fill up the square thing with liquid nitrogen, and the cold goes through this heat pipe and goes over to this flat plate over here, and then you can actually heat up that little tube there, and you can get the cold plate to any temperature you want. And basically you can use it to test the critical temperature of superconductors and a bunch of other things. So you can hook it up with, like, you know, a couple wires and send some current through, and then have some voltage detector there, and then just take a bunch of measurements as it warms up or cools down over time, and you can test out your YBCO superconductors and see how they're working. So I built that for school as an independent study, and I thought I'd just put it in here because you might be interested too. And it worked out pretty good. A lot of insulation. The copper block actually took a really long time to get down to temperature, but it wasn't too bad. And yeah, that's that. So I also built this sink. I think I'm actually going to make a full video of this. That'll come out in a couple days because I kind of have enough footage to do that, and I want to put a video up. But I made this sink out of a rock that we found on the beach, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, we got this sink here, and my dad built this vanity for it too, which is quite nice. But yeah, it's basically just a rock that we carved out and put sink things on. One other thing I've been doing that I don't think I've really talked about is I have had a bunch of trail cams up all over the place for the past like 3 years. I don't know why I haven't put this in a video, but you can just buy like Hunter trail cams for like $80 for a pretty good one online, and I have put a bunch of them in the woods, and I've got a few pictures of deer and a few pictures of like coyotes and stuff, not too much. I have one in the White Mountains right now, just like I haven't really got that good of pictures and it's been so many years, but I don't know, I just recommend it. If you have like any woods near your house or any kind of like animal activity, which everybody has, I definitely recommend getting one of those. You don't have to do anything, you just buy one and put it up. A lot of the stuff that I like to do is just stuff like that, and it's hard to make a video about putting a trail cam up. Trying to make it through my college, and I got to do like fun things to do that, like go bungee jumping, or I got scuba certified this summer and all that stuff, and I have to do that. Like I really like working a lot more than being in college. Like Spacex was so much cooler than college, you have no idea. And then that's just that. Now I have to go back to college for like a lot longer than I'm at SpaceX. And I like working at home like a ton too, because it's like really fun. I can build whatever. But I don't have enough money really to do that all the time. And so far I've made $5 off of YouTube. Literally $5. I mean, I got like connections and stuff off it too, but like I've made $5 off YouTube. So like it's pretty bad. And I had a Patreon a while ago, but I never announced it, so nobody really found it. So I'm gonna start up another Patreon, and there's gonna be a link in the description. And if you think that I am valuable enough to give money to, so that I could spend it on projects and then make videos about it, then consider, you know, adding your name to Patreon. I spend all of my money on building things. I think you've realized that. If I get a couple dollars, I'll spend it on building things immediately. I have no money right now. I spent it all on that slow motion camera. I was saving up just for that. I spend a lot of money on climbing gear too, but if I get it from Patreon, I'm not going to spend it on climbing or any other stuff like that, or food or any of that bullshit. I'm going to spend it on cool stuff, building stuff, because that's what you want me to spend it on. At some point, it would be really awesome if I could just like take a couple months off of doing things and then just get back to building crazy stuff again. That's just really what I want to do, rather than going to college or any of that. I just really want to get back to building stuff, and if you guys would help me build stuff and just give me a ton of money, I could build stuff. Now, yeah, it's like, it's cheesy, and it's like, you know, what if I have a shitty idea and I end up spending your money on stupid things? I'm not going to spend Patreon money on things like my ice climbing wall, because that's pretty much like just for me. Like, you know, my channel has been very, very inactive for the past year, ever since college, more than a year, ever since college. It's just terrible. I'm sorry. There's just really not much to say about it. So I'm just like, I'm excited to be home. I'm excited to be building stuff again. And I'm glad to not be in school anymore. I don't like school. If you are thinking about going to school and you don't really want to go to school, and you don't think you'll get anything out of it, don't go. I kind of don't think I'm going to get anything out of it. It feels like I'm getting absolutely nothing done. It's so slow. The progress is horrible. Stupid way to learn. It's terrible. It's inefficient. And it's just like such a waste of money. And it's horrible. And that's basically it. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say, unfortunately. Just kind of gonna try to put some videos out for once. I like making videos. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I just slowed down so much. I was going through my old hard drive. I would record everything when I was a kid. Oh my god. I have so much footage of me flying planes as a little buddy. It's hilarious. Oh man, I don't know. I just want to work really hard, and you can't work really hard at school. It's hard. That's about it. Goodbye, shop.